Now it is my pleasure to invite Dr.Seetharaman to join me at the lectern. Optimism, innovation, and a commitment to fair and open business practices that are just as good for the environment as they are for the client's bottom line. These are the fundamental principles underlying the remarkable success of Dr.Seetharaman, Chief Executive Officer of the fastest growing bank in the world. Under leadership of this highly respected international economist since 2002, the trend-setting Doha Bank has increased its retail market share in Qatar from 4% to 24%. As one of the best performing banks in the region, Doha Bank is now expanding into neighboring Gulf states as well as the emerging economies of India, China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Turkey. In a fragile world economy, Doha Bank is setting the highest standards in the industry by employing new technologies, adopting a consumer-centered approach, and focusing on globalization. Mr. Seetharaman's enduring promotion of good governance and transparency and his commitment to corporate social responsibility have profoundly changed the banking industry in Doha, the Middle East, and beyond. You have been applauded for your bank's pioneering initiatives, including an environmentally sensitive corporate culture and your leadership role in Middle Eastern banking. The man who transformed a traditional bank into a model of efficiency, asset allocation, and international strategy has collected numerous national and international honors and awards. In recognition of your extraordinary leadership and your achievements in global banking, Washington College is pleased to present to Dr.Seetharaman the honorary degree Doctor of Laws. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the visitors and governors of Washington College and by the state of Maryland, I hereby confer upon you the honorary degree Doctor of Laws with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Dr. Seetharaman, it is now my great privilege to invite our most recent alumnus to give a response.
President Michel Reyes, Board of Governors and visitors, distinguished faculties, distinguished guests, students, well-wishers, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure and privilege for me to be an integral part of this interesting and exciting celebration. We live in a changing world. Change is happening on account of globalization. Change is happening on account of re-regulation. Changes are happening on account of technology, as President mentioned. Change is happening on account of consumerism. We lived and we are living in an interconnected world with much more interdependency. We live in a Facebook world. We are all content providers. This new world order is creating new opportunities. Inspirational, interesting, exciting. That's the trend we are seeing. Life is interesting and exciting as long as we follow principle-centered administration within yourself. That's what I've learned. I want to set in discipline to myself when I was a young learner. Some of the principles which I've practiced, if it is of interesting to the new generations, I will be contented for standing today. It was self-realization. The God is within you. It is your parents which are setting the stone for your creation, and they are your first God. Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam. This is what my language says. Self-realization, integrating your heart, mind, and soul is eternal, and that will set you the right kind of discipline for you to be peaceful. You create a world which is peaceful, for you create a generation which is peaceful. That's principle number one. Principle number two, setting goals. Having realized vision is important, having understood knowledge is important, getting the knowledge is the prime importance for me when I was a young child. My father was just earning 75 rupees, equivalent to $6. I want to study in the best school. I lived in a village 10 kilometers away. A best school was available. It is going to cost me 30% of my father's package. How could I do it? I insisted. They obliged. Essentially, I was feeling the pinch. I went to my headmaster and I told him, I need free admission for the college, for the schools. Essentially, he said, you are studying in 8th standard. This year, if you come first in all the examinations, I'll give you free hostel and I'll make sure you are comfortable. 9th, 10th, 11th. That was a challenge. I took it with responsibility. I realized knowledge is eternal. Knowledge society can never fail. Essentially, you as an individual can secure your values by securing knowledge. That's what I understood. I was ready for the challenge. I committed. I did well on the first drive. 8th standard, I was scoring very well. The last exam was mathematics. That was a deciding day for me to secure my hostel for 9th, 10th, 11th. Setting goal is important. I set the goal. I have to execute. I executed all the examination, the last exam, testing time. It was at 8:30. I used to catch the bus to the downtown, 10 kilometers away. It takes an hour. 9:30, I should be reaching there. 10 o'clock is the exam. I didn't get the best on the day. It was 9 o'clock. I was panicked. I ran to my home. Something has to happen. I took my cycle. I was driving the cycle. 2 kilometers, cycle got punctured. Still, I have to go 8 more kilometers. There was a fire in me, determination in me, that I kept the bicycle on the road. I took the books. I was running 8 kilometers. By 10:20, I was in the school. I did exams, and I secured the school admission for next 3 years. So determination drive the force. Setting goal was useful for me when it comes to corporate vision and execution. And clearly, determination was important for you to secure your education and also further in your professional walk of life. Then comes the next principle which I understood. It is knowledge, again, with self-determination can combine and take you places. I got admission. I have to work hard. There's no substitute for hard work. There's no other substitute for hard work. That's what I learned. I started realizing my family still can't afford this kind of education. I started teaching when I was 9th standard, 10th and 11th. I used to get free books. That's the considerations. It was easy for me to learn 10th and 11th mathematics, and at the same time, consideration was setting in. I always wanted to see my mother every week. 10 kilometers, I have to get into a bus. So I used to, go to see her every week. I went to the headmaster and I again asked him, I need one more favor from you. I want to work in a supermarket. He's going to give me every week 8 rupees, $1 plus. I need this money for me to support my family. He says, as long as your education is not compromised, go ahead. I started doing it. I started making money, 8 rupees, and every week I was seeing my mother. Mother told me, she's sitting in front of me here. She told me, I'm running short of kerosene. I need 2 tins of kerosene for us to survive for next few weeks. I was determined to get back next week. I went to the shop. I purchased this kerosene. I realized I don't have money to cut across to my village. I was walking nearly 8 to 9 kilometers carrying these heavy kerosene tins that were full of blisters in my hand. I reached the home. I didn't tell my mother I'm not well. I couldn't even sit. She asked me to sit for dinner. I was shivering. I was sitting, and she asked me to eat. I couldn't lay my hands on the food. She suddenly shouted at me and turned the hand. It was full of blisters. That's the compassion and the love which drives me today. I want to make sure that commitment to family, commitment to society is equally important for you to realize compassion comes in in every walk of life. That should be the driving force for you to be a better human. We're all, in the eyes of God, creatures planted in this planet. Essentially, our value systems get recognized if we have principle-centered administrations. Equally important is your skill development. That's what I've learned in my early days. Essentially, to subsidize my education, I used to act in theaters. I used to act in dramas, and I used to get money, consideration for it, and I used to buy my first grinder in my house for my mother, who was manually toiling. I used to replace a good grinder and hand it over to her. I saw the light in her face. These are small things, but come a long way when it comes to your personality makeup. Professional makeup is all about how you converge you as a person, and then set in discipline to run your corporate or personal life or professional life as a convergence criteria. You have to necessarily make sure these are all principle-centered. Essentially, the skill development which I have had in the theater was responsible for me when I realized environment sustainability is of greater importance for this world to survive, for future generation to be well off. I realized I want to disseminate knowledge. Way back in 2002, I set in a new mission, and clearly I changed my outfit. I purchased an alligator as well as a python mock-up. I purchased in London, Hamlet toys, went around the world and showcased the importance of global warming and climate change, what we need to articulate for sustainable development. The skill came very handy when it comes to character depiction. The drama theater helped me to consolidate how to portray the characters and make sure you pass on the message which is important and effective for future generation. It doesn't end there. You have to necessarily recognize everything is all about team leadership. It is a team which drives the values. No individuals can accomplish anything. Even marriage is a combination of families. Weak and strong, rich and poor, integral part of the family combination. That's what the driving force for you to have value system integrated within yourself, long way to make sure your family is united. It is not broken. That's what the reflection you see in your character and commitment, that is reflecting in your corporate management is all about. It's all shared vision, shared leadership, which drives the change, and that change can be characterized in your return to all the stakeholders. That's what I understood. Essentially, that's what the lessons I've learned. And again, when it comes to social responsibility, it is equally important. You not only earn, you give it back to society, which has created you. That's what I did. That's what I'm able to do today. The school where I studied with so much difficulty, where there was a free hostel for me, my mother has inaugurated a part of a new block to make sure that future generation takes the value advantage. I could afford to communicate and make sure that is what really required to see. Long-term value is all about creating the value and making sure you pass it on for future generation. Not only we leave the better world, we need to leave better citizens to make sure the world is enduring its values for years to come, generations to come. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the great honor conferred on me. Thank you.